Checkmate Friedrich Merz. Checkmate, my friend. Actually, you almost have to feel sorry for him after what happened to him today, but I'll spare him the pity. He definitely doesn't deserve it. Not only did he not get his 90 billion approved, now the Americans are also getting on his case and I would say are absolutely furious with Germany. And back there, it's really running non-stop, television all day long. And today we're going to take a look at that. First, we'll take a look at the European Union and just how finished the coalition around Friedrich Merz already is.
We want to get our oil from the Ukrainians, which they are blocking. The Hungarian position is very simple. We support Ukraine if we get our oil, which they are blocking.
A very simple demand. However, while Orban is now seen as the bad guy, nothing is being said about Fico, who has also made a clear statement about it. No oil through the pipeline, no money for Zelensky. And now he's really with his back against the wall, which is going to be problematic again. How do you plan to provide more funds to support Ukraine after the latest findings from this Bundestag? That's almost impossible. And I once noticed a video in the winter. I said that by September at the latest, this government would have to resign, and I apologized for that several times. However, and I have now looked at this closely, if the budget is simply financed by debt. Yes, I just didn't expect that someone could be so corrupt. Of course, within our own ranks, but now a legal expert is working on this who explains it very well. You don't feel like dealing with Friedrich Merz anymore, and neither do I. However, I have a problem that my videos are no longer reaching as many people. Why not? YouTube doesn't want you out there to know the truth. For example, that Fico didn't feel like it either. But you could support this channel completely for free with a like and a subscription. So we can simply show that we are the voice of the majority and that we are tired of this corrupt government and that we can reach more and more people. And maybe, and really just maybe, we can influence the next elections, even if just a little bit.
Mr. Lemmer, you are currently talking about complete government failure, and there are several reasons for that.
Do you remember in 48 hours Olaf Scholz will resign? It ended up taking 4 months, but somehow that seems to be repeating itself with me. Of course, in the winter I didn't expect that they would take on debt to refinance the budget. What he's about to tell you now. Back then I said something like the government is basically finished or effectively finished and should actually resign because of it. In the meantime, even the Greens have gotten a taste for it, so they can now join this government to form the only government that would still be possible without the alternative for Germany. And now they're definitely suing Friedrich Merz. And I would say that it's going to be explained to us really well now what's actually happening there.
For example, also
to prevent us from being helpless when a crisis like the one in Iran happens. Instead, we should have the means to actually make a difference there. And now it turns out that this money is being wasted on the usual stuff that nobody needs.
And when I made that video back then and explained to you exactly why they can't get over the night of the long knives, I would never have dreamed that they would simply misuse the funds, that they would just redirect the money because that's actually criminal and illegal, but where there's no plaintiff, there's no judge. I know a lot of people told me that, and I apologize to you, although I also replied to a lot of comments there. But now they have to explain it to the public, and now it's starting to get really interesting. Why other countries like Austria and Italy can waive taxes, but Germany can't. And right now, it's absolutely impossible because we have to support Ukraine. So basically, they're just saying we don't want to do it anymore, just to set the record straight.
To make it very clear, and that's not just a small part, but 95% of it. This is such a disaster. For that, this government should basically resign.
Yes, and I would never have thought of that back then, that people are so corrupt and would do something like that. Maybe I should have realized that earlier, but that's not the point. Yes, this government is basically at its end now, because what does the Constitutional Court want? Now, what do they want to do? And several urgent applications have now been submitted. There are columns about it in Bild Zeitung and in Die Welt. Every citizen can now file a complaint because the money has been wasted. What do you think? How many complaints will come in over the next weeks and months because they don't want, or because many people don't want their tax money to be wasted? And now this government has a huge problem. Please explain that to us now.
If not for that, then why was he elected to his office almost a year ago? Yes, even though it already feels like many people are tired of this government. And the third topic is like this.
Many who know this channel are aware of how this channel came into being. This government broke me, and then the federal fiscal court ruled in my favor that I'm not a villain after all. Yes, just to break it down very briefly, but now it's not just a small minority from whom they've tried to extort tax money. This time, they basically let the entire population run into a wall and robbed them, something the press isn't really talking about yet. Maybe they're still a little afraid, though. What do you think? How many business owners are out there? What do you think? How many people are out there? First and foremost, Müller from Müllermilch, who won't put up with this anymore and are now suing this government. Because now they have everything in their hands to, I have to say, bring down this government as quickly as possible. I already explained that in my video this afternoon, that even the Christian Democratic Union grassroots are taking action against it. And yes, they have apparently already made contact with the Constitutional Court because they do not agree with this. And let's be honest, just imagine politicians who simply get kicked out of the Bundestag and want to come back. Yes, because they want to get back into the Bundestag. There are plenty of them who don't want to go along with all this corruption. Just imagine if you take their money away, of course they want to get their money back.
The topic of war and another statement from Friedrich Merz, who said, "This is not our war." This statement exploded like a bomb in the United States, in the Gulf, and actually all over the world.
Yes, and it doesn't matter at all what you watch, CNN, Fox. It doesn't matter whether you're watching right-wing or left-wing propaganda over there in the United States. They all agree that Europe, or rather Germany, has gone a step too far. Of course, people here still say, yes, that was all just talk from Donald Trump and he just lied about everything around him. But the Americans don't forget that, especially not. Those in Congress are now considering whether Germany should pay the full cost for Ukraine and whether they should perhaps also produce the weapons for it. Because why should the United States of America do that now? That's definitely all over television again. Yeah, are we such terrible people just like in the past, and now we have a chancellor who's completely lost it? Did you hear about that this afternoon? He left quickly when the uncomfortable questions arose. Now the money problem is added to that. Nobody knows how to support Ukraine anymore, and nobody knows how to explain to people that we urgently need nuclear energy now. And funny dance videos just aren't enough to get this economy back on track. Now, this government has a huge problem made up of many, many small problems that are starting to overwhelm it. It's not just the billions in the budget, it's also the Americans leaving because of his rash decisions. It's the European Union that's there saying we need nuclear energy while Germany wants to go its own way. And all the billions that are blocked, not just by Orban, but now also by Fico. And now the Chancellor has to consider what he wants to do about it. And he's currently with his back against the wall. And with that, I'd like to move right on to my final clip.
But what Friedrich Merz did there is basically unforgivable. And if I add all that up, plus other topics I haven't even mentioned yet, then I have to say not even a year after this federal government was elected by the Bundestag, it's obviously at its end.
And that's exactly what I mean. This government is now so incapable of acting, and it only governs from one election to the next, afraid that the votes might still be enough in the state parliaments because they're so afraid of the Alternative for Germany, which, by the way, has now overtaken the Christian Democratic Union again in the latest poll. And forgive me for this little macabre joke. Apparently my messages say it's nothing serious. On this day, when Friedrich Merz is having the worst day of his career, Chuck Norris has also been admitted to the hospital. And we all know them, those macabre Chuck Norris jokes. And yes, I would say today would be a great day. That tonight we might get the news. Our Chancellor Friedrich Merz has fallen. I would really wish for that. How about you?